देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome everyone to New Mayapur Ground. It's a wonderful opportunity to be in New Mayapur amongst all of you and to be able to glorify Srila Prabhupada for the next 2 days. Some of you have read the Leelamrita and so many other biographies of Prabhupada. And of course, there are those who may have read it long ago and not remember all of the pastimes of Prabhupada. So we thought we would start today with an overview of Srila Prabhupada's life, right from his appearance to his final Leela. And as we go through this, I might share a few deep anecdotes or realizations. And depending on how actively you are participating and listening, you might choose to go deeper. The idea behind the next 2 days is to go through the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava and how these 26 qualities were exemplified by Srila Prabhupada. And we'll also try and understand what lesson we learn from these 26 qualities and how we could apply those qualities in our own life, which is ultimately what we should all aim to do. Srila Prabhupada once said, and actually it's also in Srimad Bhagavatam he's mentioned, that these 26 qualities of a Vaishnava, we should all use these as a checklist to understand how we are progressing in our personal spiritual life. How many of those qualities we are developing. So from tomorrow the sessions will be full of wonderful stories of Srila Prabhupada, pastimes of Prabhupada, and lessons learned from those pastimes. So I'll begin with Prabhupada's life. Of course you all know, and I mean it's not possible within an hour to cover his entire life, every single episode, but we'll go through the most significant ones that show us how Srila Prabhupada was not an ordinary person. So he appeared in, we all know he appeared in Kolkata in 1896. This is when India was being ruled by the British and everyone was struggling under the British Empire. The British Empire had invaded a country which was world's second largest economy, and they had emptied the coffers of India and looted India. So there was generally speaking, there was a lot of discontent. And Srila Prabhupada appeared in that atmosphere where generally people were unhappy, in discontent, and wanted to get rid of the British. So 1st of September 1896, he appeared in Kolkata. And as a small boy, he was known as, his name was Abhay Charan. Now he was named as Abhay Charan because the astrologer who did his chart, he said this particular boy has no fear. He'll be fearless. And many, many years after Prabhupada established ISKCON, he was once asked by one of his disciples, Prabhupada, which quality is needed for a preacher to succeed? Prabhupada said a preacher should be fearless. So fearlessness is really, really an important quality of a preacher. When Prabhupada was 3 years old, so in all these slides, there's about 70 slides. We'll quickly go through these little pastimes of Prabhupada. I've mentioned the age of Prabhupada in the brackets, and the year is also mentioned. Prabhupada was 3 years old, and they were going from one place to another, one village to another, on a bullock cart. The whole family, Prabhupada's family, was going with him. And Prabhupada clearly remembers, I was 3 years old, and while we were all on the cart, somehow one of the cart wheel, as you can see there, broke. And the bulls the oxen who were pulling the cart, even the oxen slipped. And everyone on the cart, they fell, and everyone had a fracture or got a scratch or something. And Srila Prabhupada, 3-year-old baby, he slipped from his mother's arms and he landed 10 feet away. He flew in the air, as you can see here, little Abhay, and he landed on grass. And immediately after landing, he stood up and started walking as if nothing had happened. So Srila Prabhupada said that the Supreme Lord has been protecting me from my very childhood. He was always protected by Krishna from the beginning of his life. And then as Abhay grew up in his house, his father, Gaur Mohan De, was very close to the Maliks. The Maliks were the rich goldsmiths who lived just across the road. And so the Maliks were, they were also very devotional. And Srila Prabhupada's father would invite lots of devotees. Yes, Prabhu? You had a question? No.
No.
Okay. If anyone has a question, you can raise your hand here. You can interrupt. So, this little boy, right from his age, 4 years old, he was always enjoying the dancing in Kirtan, when there were Kirtan in the house. As you can see here, Kirtan is going on, and while the Kirtan is going on, Abhay is jumping up and down and dancing. Srila Prabhupada, when he saw the crowd in the London Rath Yatra, I believe it was 1973, he got off the chariot and he started dancing. And he was signaling all his disciples to dance along with him. And as they were dancing and he was dancing, many of the disciples who were there, they remember Srila Prabhupada's feet would not touch the ground. He was dancing so enthusiastically. So the attraction for the holy name was right from his very early childhood. And Gaur Mohan Dev would invite many, many saints to his house. And he would only ask them to pray for one thing. Does anyone know what?
Srila Prabhupada's spiritual advancement.
For Prabhupada's advancement, yes?
Gaur Mohan Dev wanted Srila Prabhupada to be a devotee of Srimati Radharani.
To be a devotee of Srimati Radharani, yes. Exactly Gaur Mohan Dev would ask, please give your blessings that he may receive the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And many years after that, when Prabhupada was in Jaladuta, he composed many poems. And one of the poems he composed, he writes, it's only by the mercy of Srimati Radharani that one can attain the mercy of Krishna. When he described the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he said, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare, the first Hare, is calling out for Srimati Radharani. Only through her mercy can one serve Supreme Lord Krishna. So we see Prabhupada's love for the holy name. The next slide is probably out of sync. I'll come back to this. And every year the Maliks would do Rath Yatra on their street. The street was known as Harrison Road. And so Prabhupada, when he met George Harrison, Prabhupada joked with him and said, oh, we have a connection. I was born on Harrison Road. So this is Harrison Road. And Srila Prabhupada would love to attend the Rath Yatra festival. The Maliks would cook a feast for 1,000 people. And Srila Prabhupada was very happy to be attending these Rath Yatras. In fact, he was so attached. At just 5 years old, Srila Prabhupada asked his father, Gaur Mohan Dev, Baba, I want a Rath cart for myself. I want to do a Rath Yatra myself. So Gaur Mohan Dev and his wife, they initially thought, well, it's just a childish thing. Let us get him some old toy cart. So they managed to get an old toy cart from an old lady. As you can see here, some lady gave the cart. You can see the cart is broken. The cart was broken. And they gave the broken cart to Abhay, thinking that Abhay will be now happy. But he started crying hysterically. He said, Baba, please fix this cart. I need to take Jagannath. Next week is the Rath Yatra. I need to take Jagannath out for 8 days. Because Jagannath goes out for 8 days. So they had to quickly fix the cart. And the following week, Abhay with all his friends put little Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra on the cart, and he would go up and down the street and do the Rath Yatra. So many years later, when Prabhupada was in America, and Mother Malti, she found some dolls from an Indian gift shop. She thought these dolls look really cute. So she brought those dolls to Swamiji, to Srila Prabhupada. And when she showed the dolls to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada immediately, his face lit up, his eyes became big, folded his hands and he did full danvats. And Malti was wondering, why is he paying obeisances to dolls? And Prabhupada stood up and he said, Jagannath has arrived. Because the dolls that Malti got were actually Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. And that was an indication that he said, we will now plan, let's have the Rath Yatra. Prabhupada said. So this is how Rath Yatra, connection with Rath Yatra. And what does Rath Yatra signify? Yes?
Krishna comes out to see everyone.
Krishna comes out to see everyone.
No. Those people who haven't been able to go and see him at the temples, all that, they get the privilege and honor to see him because he's there.
Yeah. So there are many different significances of the Rath Yatra. Of course, one of the significances is that the Lord has so much audarya. Audarya means magnanimity. He is available for everyone. Here in New Mayapur, we have beautiful deities. Anyone can come, any visitor can come. But we see that only a limited number of people are coming. So even in Puri, anyone can come. But the Lord says, okay, if you are not coming, I shall come to see you. I shall come out and give you my mercy. So that magnanimity, audarya, namo maha vadanyaya, Krishna prema pradayate. Lord Chaitanya's mood was exactly the same. Mahavadanya. Vadanya means he who gives forcibly, even without asking. The real mercy of the Lord is that he gives without asking. So here we can see Srila Prabhupada also had the same mood as Lord Chaitanya, as Jagannath, and the mood was to give out Krishna Prema to everyone indiscriminately. So Prabhupada at 5 years of age started the Rath Yatra, and he wasn't satisfied with the Rath Yatra. The following year, because there was a Radha Govindaji temple just across the road from where he grew up, he would attend the Radha Govindaji Mandir Aarti every day. But then his mother would say, you can't go late in the evening. After Shayan Aarti also, every time before going to school, he would want to go to the temple. After coming from school, he would go to the temple. Afternoon, he would go to the temple. Evening, he would want to go to the temple. So his mother said, no, you can't go so many times. So 6-year-old Abhay, he said, I want my own deities. If I cannot go to them, I want my own Radha Govinda. So Prabhupada's father was very kind. He brought Radha Krishna deity for Prabhupada. So you can see Prabhupada and he was doing Aarti, he was offering the Bhoga, he was worshipping because he had someone, he had an example in front of him of his father. He had an example in front of him of his father who was worshipping Radha Govindaji in his home. So Prabhupada writes, actually he mentioned this to Satswarup Maharaj, that every day in the morning he would crawl out of bed when he would hear his father Gaur Mohan De blowing the conch shell and ringing the bell, Mangalarti. That was the impression he had in his mind. So Prabhupada. Then of course, Prabhupada, when he was 13 years old, and that goes back to this slide over here, when he was 13 years old, there was 1909, there was a big war between, I wouldn't say war, but a communal dispute between the Hindus and the Muslims. And during that communal disharmony, the Muslims were attacking the Hindus were attacking the Muslims, and there was a lot of butchering, a lot of people died. And the British police just let it happen, because they wanted to sow the seeds of division within the society. Srila Prabhupada was out on the street. He had gone to buy something when suddenly a mob started attacking the different shops. And Srila Prabhupada was caught in between these different people fighting. And one Muslim guy with a big sword in his hand saw Abhay and started running behind Abhay to kill him. And somehow Abhay escaped. And when he escaped, Prabhupada said this many times. He said, Krishna always protected me. So Prabhupada was protected, and then of course he gets enrolled in the course BA, Bachelors of Arts in Philosophy, in Scottish Churches College. The Scottish Churches College is a very famous college in Kolkata. It was run by Scottish missionaries, and Prabhupada enrolled and he learned Sanskrit, he learned Western philosophy, he learned Indian philosophy. Subhash Chandra Bose was his senior, and he even met Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose belonged to the same college, and those who know Indian history, he was a very well-known freedom fighter in India, Subhash Chandra Bose. So this particular school or college was very, very famous. And while Prabhupada was in his third year, while Abhay was in his third year, so in 1918, he was 22 years old. His father, Gaur Mohan, he said, I'm getting old. I have a duty to perform, which is to get you married. So I have spoken to the Maliks, the rich family, Malik family, and they have a beautiful girl. They know someone who has a beautiful girl, very nice natured. Her name is Radharani. We would like you to consider her proposal. Srila Prabhupada initially refused. Prabhupada, at one point in one conversation, he said, I had some other girl in mind. He doesn't reveal who that other girl was. But he said, I had some other girl in mind. But because my father said, get married to this girl, I agreed. So Prabhupada agrees to get married to, at the age of 22, to Radharani. This is when he's in third year of college. Then, when he has graduated, he initially decides to participate in Gandhi's non-violence movement. He wants to be he was a Gandhinian, he was a follower of Gandhi, and he wanted to participate in the non-cooperation movement. So the idea behind that movement was that we will not cooperate with the British, we will not use any of the British produce, so that we can kick them out. So initially Prabhupada was very much influenced by Gandhi's thought. He had a friend from college whose name was Naren Babu. Naren was very simple-minded, and he used to visit lots of sadhus. Now Abhay, he was no stranger to sadhus, because Gaur Mohan would invite so many sadhus at home every day. Every day, a sadhu would come to Abhay's house for lunch every single day. This was how Vaishnava Seva Gaur Mohan they used to perform. Even now, if you go to Bangladesh, to our devotee community in Bangladesh, you will be surprised that the Bangladeshi devotees, I know devotees, they will refuse to have lunch if on that day no Vaishnava comes to their house. Such high culture. So he was no stranger to sadhus, but because he was so influenced by Gandhi's thinking was, before everything else, we need Swaraj. Swaraj means independence. We need independence. So he was influenced by that thinking. So he was also of the view that, what is this sadhus, meeting sadhus and doing this bhajan? What is the use of all that? The need of the hour is independence. So Naren Babu said, well, there are other things, Abhay, that you should think in life. Independence is temporary. Real independence is when you can be free from the influence of Maya. But these things did not make any sense to Abhay at that point. He understood it, but he did not subscribe to it. Next year, rather the same year, he had his first son, whom he named Vrindavan Chandra. He and his wife, they had the first son. The following year, Naren Babu again asked Abhay, Abhay, I know you don't like to be with sadhus, but there is this one particular sadhu that you must meet. Abhay said, no, I am done with sadhus. First, we need to get freedom. Naren said, all right, there is also a nice sweet shop nearby. I will go and treat you with some sweets if you come. Somehow Prabhupada agreed, and he went to this rooftop where this effulgent sannyasi was preaching. He had come from Mayapur. His name was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was with many disciples, many sannyasis. And young Abhay, only 26 years old, studying in English, understanding both Indian and Western philosophy, an expert in Bengali, an expert in Sanskrit. Immediately, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the very first meeting, he told him, Abhay, you are educated young men. Why don't you preach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message throughout the whole world? What a instruction to give. It is said, instructions are not given to everyone, because the person who receives the instruction should have the ability to execute. So sadhus don't go around giving instruction to everyone. Sometimes we wonder why these advanced devotees are not coming to us and giving some instruction to us. Perhaps they know we are unfit to execute those instructions. In the very first meeting, and later on Prabhupada's godbrothers, they told Prabhupada's disciples, we were shocked that our Guru Maharaj, in the very first meeting, he gave such a huge instruction. Preach the message of Lord Chaitanya throughout the world in the English language. What an instruction to give to somebody who met for the very first time. So Prabhupada's godbrothers, they later on said, our Guru Maharaj, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, could see in Prabhupada what none of us could see. We are surrounded by so many devotees. And the reality is we do not know who is sitting next to us. If we knew who really is the person sitting in front of us, next to us, behind us, what is their real relationship with Krishna, how much love they have in their heart for Krishna, then all we could do is to fall at their feet and pay obeisances to them. Because that is the reality. The more superficial we are, actually even Lord Jesus Christ, he says, those of the body can only see the body. Those of the soul can see the soul. So, at the level at which we interact with other individuals, all we do is joke around and speak about worldly matters. Then that's all that we have access to. We don't have access to anything more beyond. So we need to cultivate a habit to see things in their spiritual perspective. And here, after this meeting, Prabhupada left with Naren, and Naren asked, "So, you got an instruction. What do you think about this sadhu?" And Srila Prabhupada said, "Lord Chaitanya's movement, it seems, is in the best of hands." He said about Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Lord Chaitanya's movement is in the best of hands. Of course, later on, Abhay and Narayan, they got busy in their lives. And as you can see, the British were still very much prominent there. Abhay later on decided to find some work. And Gaur Mohan De's friend, very close friend, was a doctor who also owned a pharmaceutical company, manufacturing company. The doctor's name was Chandra Bose. So he mentioned, Gaur Mohan De mentioned to Chandra Bose, "Dr. Bose, please, can you keep my son in your manufacturing plant?" Dr. Bose agreed. And Prabhupada did such a wonderful job. Not only he did a great job at managing the plant, he in fact grew the business by leaps and bounds. Dr. Bose was very, very happy with him. And then, once he had learned the trick of the trade, Prabhupada, Abhay decided to move to a different city, to Prayagraj, which is known as Allahabad. And in Allahabad, he opened his own pharmacy called Prayag Pharmacy. Abhay Charan De Chemical Factory. He had his own factory. And that is where he was introduced to a lot of dignitaries. Prabhupada was 27 years old when he established his factory. He now had his second son. And many dignitaries would visit Abhay's laboratory. There was, amongst the dignitaries, there was Jawaharlal Nehru. Anyone's heard of Nehru? Yeah, very famous. He was the first Prime Minister of India. Jawaharlal Nehru and his father, Motiram Nehru. They were also regular visitors. And Prabhupada noticed that Jawahar, he would never ask for Indian medicines. He would only ask for Western medicines. So Prabhupada had in his mind that this Jawahar is westernized. He is very westernized. Prabhupada remarks in one of the places later on after he started the movement. In 1928, when Prabhupada or Abhay was 32 years old, by this time he was very much involved in helping the Gaudiya mission. In fact, he was working very closely with the sannyasis, disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And the first Gaudiya Mutt, which was opened in Prayag, in Allahabad, was very close to where Abhay's shop was. Abhay himself acquired the land and the building, and he helped the opening of the temple. And so, and Abhay was at that time only 31 years old. So when he was 32, at that time, all of the disciples of Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they thought this guy has big potential. We have to cultivate him and we have to give him more and more seva. Isn't it? When you do something well, the devotees want to have you do more and more. So Abhay was asked to help them open more temples. And Abhay actually did. He helped them open a Gaudiya Math in Gowalia Tank, which is in Bombay, right in the heart of Bombay. And then they said, oh, then you help us with some more things. More and more and more. And at that time, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur intervened. And what did he say? He said, no, leave him alone. He will accomplish great things in his own time. You see, when something big has to be done, it cannot be done overnight. When a huge skyscraper building has to be built, say 60-story building, you have to go at least 30-story down to dig the foundation. So Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita, 6 volumes. How many of you have read? Anyone? No. Some of you read. Leelamrita, the first volume of Leelamrita, does anyone know what the title is? The first volume of Leelamrita?
Preparation in lifetime.
Yes. The first volume is A Lifetime in Preparation. Prabhupada was preparing throughout his life to achieve what he later on achieved in his life. So in November of 1933, Prabhupada was 37 years old. He took initiation, first and second initiation, from Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And after taking initiation from Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur again told him, I have observed that you listen very attentively. And Srila Prabhupada was blessed by Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to execute his mission. But there was no instruction given at this point. Later on, Prabhupada visited Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Radhakund in 1935. And in Radhakund, 1935, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave him his second order. What is the first order? Anyone?
So you should spread Lord Chaitanya's movement throughout the world.
In which language?
In English.
In the English language. The first order. Second order,
And books.
in Radhakund, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to call books as Bruhad Mridanga. Bruhad means big. Mridanga means the instrument, the drum. The big drum. Why? Because if you use a mridanga, how far can somebody hear the mridanga? Maybe a few meters, maybe at best, maybe 200 meters. Beyond that, you cannot hear the sound of a mridanga. But books were bruhat mridanga because the sounds of the books can go far and wide. In fact, Srila Prabhupada appeared in 1896. In the same year, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the father of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, had sent a copy of the Life and Precepts of Lord Chaitanya, an English copy that he had written. He sent that to McGill University in Canada in 1896. These are not coincidences. These are connections, divine connections. As Prabhupada appears, Lord Chaitanya's message goes first to the West through Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself. Anyway, at this point, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives an instruction. He says, I had a desire to print some books. If you ever get money, print books. There is no need of establishing temples. Better we publish books. So why do we have these temples? If the instruction is print books, so why do we have temples?
Association of devotees.
Yes. Srila Prabhupada said, these temples are facilities where like-minded devotees can associate for spiritual upliftment. Now, if we are going to temple, we are coming to New Mayapur, and all we are talking is, oh, the kwaza this morning was nice. I like the bread as well. I want to go and have pizza. I'm missing my, game in London or whatever. If this is what we are doing, or we are associating with each other, talking about investments. I was just overhearing two individuals talking about investments. Once one rich man, he came to Srila Prabhupada. He said, Swamiji, I have a problem that only you can solve. Prabhupada said, yes. This man said, Swamiji, I have so much money, but I cannot sleep at night. Please tell me, what is the solution? Prabhupada said, give me all the money. Then you can sleep at night. Give me all the money, I will use it for Krishna's service. Then you can sleep peacefully at night. So, the real investment. Once Giriraj Maharaj, during his initiation, Giriraj Swami's initiation, Prabhupada was joking with him. Giriraj Maharaj has a mole or something. So Prabhupada said, this mole is like there is some actor in Hollywood. He also has some similar mole. But that actor had insured his mole, that nobody can fake copy his mole. Yeah? So Prabhupada, during initiation, he joked with Giriraj Maharaj. He said, your mole is like that actor, but you don't have any insurance. Your only insurance is Krishna consciousness. So this should be the real purpose of coming to New Mayapur. If we choose to open our mouth, it should be either to glorify the Lord or to glorify the Lord's devotees. Otherwise, no need to open our mouth. Of course, glorify the Lord means chanting Hare Krishna also. So, he gets this instruction to print books in Vrindavan. The next year, Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and said, in Prabhupada's words, he says, my dear sir, Prabhupada says, I wrote to my Guru Maharaj, my dear sir, how can I serve in fulfillment of your mission? Please guide me with some personal instructions. And Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so this happened on 7th of December 1936. On 1st of January. By the way, Prabhupada received the reply back from Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur on around 15th of December 1936. In about 7-8 days, Prabhupada received a letter back. In the letter, Prabhupada saw, it was written, I am fully confident, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is telling Prabhupada, I am fully confident that you can explain in English our thoughts and arguments to the people who are not conversant with the languages of other members. This will do much good to yourself as well as your audience. I have every hope that you can turn yourself into a very good English preacher if you serve the mission to inculcate the novel impression of Lord Chaitanya's teachings in the people in general as well as philosophers and religionists. In essence, this is the second time when Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is giving the same instruction. In many words, he's saying the same thing. please preach the mission of Lord Chaitanya in the English language. And what happens on the 1st of January 1937? Anyone knows? This is 7 December 1936. Is everyone awake?
Yes.
Yes? Some of you are awake?
Yes.
Paying attention?
Yes.
It's good to pay attention. Once Prabhupada was in Boston, and wonderful devotees like you were sat listening to his Bhagavatam class. And as Prabhupada spoke the Bhagavatam class, more than half the devotees were dozing. Early morning, all dozing, sleeping. And Prabhupada did not mind, so he continued. Until his personal servant, he was sitting right here in front of him. He was also going, eyes closed. So Prabhupada paused, and for those who were awake, 2-3 people were awake. He told them, just see all of these devotees. They are deeply meditating on our philosophical message. Yeah. So please don't deeply meditate. That's why I'm not speaking pure philosophy. I'm intertwining it with Prabhupada's katha, his life. Tomorrow onwards, we will be hearing these kind of anecdotes that I'm sharing in between. It will be full of anecdotes from different personalities from Prabhupada's life. And the 26 qualities of a devotee, how Prabhupada exhibited them, and how we can develop those qualities in our own life. So tomorrow will be quite interactive. After every quality, there will be interaction. So, what happened on 1st of January 1937? Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur left this world. The last letter Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote was to Srila Prabhupada with this instruction. Prabhupada, or Abhay as he was known, was later on given the title Bhakti Vedanta by his God brothers, because he was very intelligent in writing articles. He used to write articles for the journals that were published. Sajjana Toshani was a journal, a Gaudiya journal that was published by Gaudiya Math. He would write articles in that. And his God brothers recognized his intelligence. You see, the great personalities of tomorrow may appear today as just ordinary people. So, most of Prabhupada's God brothers thought Abhay Babu is just an ordinary grahastha. And it is true even today. Prabhupada also once called it the saffron disease. Even if you are a complete bogus person, some Mayavadi sadhu in saffron with a sannyas danda, everyone will pay obeisances. But if you are an ordinary looking grahastha, nobody bothers. So, Prabhupada was like an ordinary grahastha. Abhay Babu, they used to call him. So Abhay Babu, he was, after initiation, he decided that I should now do something with my life. And he was, in 1944, he was about 48 years old, and he started printing his own magazine in English language, which is called Back to Godhead. In 1947, which is when India attained independence, Prabhupada was 51 years old. And he wrote a letter to Gandhi. And in the letter to Gandhi, he said, My dear sir, you are pushing for the freedom struggle. Now that we are free, please retire from politics immediately. Can you imagine? Gandhi is like Nelson Mandela in South Africa. He's like the man of India. And here is a sadhu, unknown. He's writing to Gandhi, please retire immediately from politics and surrender to Lord Krishna. It will do you much good. Of course, Gandhi never even bothered to reply to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also said, if you continue this way, there may be danger to your life. And this is December 1947. And what actually happened? Within 1 month, Gandhi was shot dead. Prabhupada almost foresaw what was happening. Yes.
Sorry, I don't well know the life of Gandhi, but was he a Vaishnava, actually?
He was born in a Vaishnava family. He was raised by Jains. Jain is a community.
Chinese.
Technically they don't believe in any god. So technically they don't believe in the Vedas, and hence they are known as, from a Vedic perspective, they are known as atheistic because they don't believe in the Vedas. According to Shastra, atheist is not one who does not believe in God. According to Indian philosophy, one who does not believe in the Vedas as truth is considered to be atheist. So in that sense, Buddhist and Jain philosophies are known as atheistic philosophy. Of course, in Jainism also they believe in soul, for example. But in Jainism, the soul is the size of the body. So the elephant soul is very big. The ant soul is very small. Jain philosophy is Syatvad. Syatvad means maybe, may not be. So in modern philosophical terms, it's agnosticism, which means maybe, may not be. Is God a person? Maybe, may not be. Is this world real or is it artificial? Is it false? Is it imaginary? Maybe it's real, maybe it's imaginary. This in itself is a philosophical view. So Gandhi was of that, he was brought up by the Jains. And Jains, their motto is Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. The greatest dharma or the greatest act or duty is Ahimsa, non-violence is the greatest duty. So Gandhi said many things which were apparently quite controversial as well. For example, if he said when there was intercommunal war, which was artificially created by politicians, British, etc., between the Hindus and Muslims, Gandhi said things like, the Hindus, my brothers, should be non-violent. Even if our brothers, the Mohammedans, they used to call Mohammedans instead of Muslims, if they were to come and butcher us, we should just stand there non-violently. He said these kind of things which were not, nobody really kind of, he said, let them pillage us, let them rape our women, let them kill us, let them slaughter all of us. That way, by remaining non-violence, we would have fulfilled our duty. So he was very much trained in this kind of a non-violent way of thinking. He was born a Vaishnava, not practiced. His parents belonged to the Pushti Marg Sampradaya, which is an authorized Sampradaya, Rudra Vaishnava Sampradaya. Anyway, I digressed because you asked me a question.
Okay.
But Gandhi was assassinated by Nathuram Godse on the 30th of January 1948. Within a month of what Prabhupada said, please retire, there will be risk to your life, danger to your life. Prabhupada could foresee. He could foresee things. We have a beautiful temple in Chowpatty. Has anyone been to Chowpatty temple? Yeah. So that beautiful temple in Chowpatty, Prabhupada visited that place. And when he visited that place, he found that beach very beautiful. So he just pointed his cane, his walking stick, he pointed in the direction and said, "This is a very nice place. It would be nice if we have a temple here." And 20 years after his departure, there was a temple there. So Prabhupada's words have become true. Anyway, we'll go quickly. So later on, Prabhupada was now feeling more and more compelled to, yes.
Sorry, Prabhu, just a quick question. I know this would be speculation, but you know, like how Gandhi's stance was towards non-violence at that time politically. I know this would be speculation, but what do you think Prabhupada's view would be towards it? Because in the sense of Vaishnava qualities,
He made it very clear. Prabhupada's view was to violently fight against the British and kick them out of the country. Prabhupada, in fact, in one class, one person asked, "Your philosophy, your disciples, they're all dressed in saffron, these ladies are dressed in saris, and all they're doing is chanting Hare Krishna on the streets. What good are they?" Prabhupada said, "No, we can do everything. If there is a war, we can fight. We are like Arjuna," Prabhupada said. Arjuna was the best of warrior and he was the best of devotees. So Prabhupada's view was that if you are being oppressed and if you have a military power, then your military should fight. Not like every individual should fight. If you are not Kshatriya, you cannot fight. My quality is not, I cannot personally see even blood in my own hand. So I cannot see any blood. I've never seen any dead animal or anything like that, in my life. I mean, I've seen, but eating meat and all that is not a concept that we were raised with at all. So for some people it is very strange. Naturally they cannot do fighting. Somebody gives me a gun or a sword in hand, it's not possible for me to do anything. But there will be devotees who are very Kshatriya-like. And Prabhupada said, yeah, we need Kshatriyas to protect the society and to fight with the miscreants. Prabhupada's view was very clear. He was not subscribing to Gandhi's view.
Yeah. It's like Arjuna.
Like Arjuna, yes.
Mahabharata was the war against truth.
Arjuna, what did he say on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? He told Krishna, "I shall not fight. What should I fight for? I'm fighting. If I win, I would have killed all my family members on the other side. So who will I enjoy my wealth with? If I lose, then what is the point in fighting?" So he was giving logical arguments to Krishna, one way or the other. I should not fight. And what did Krishna say to Arjuna? What is that verse? Anarya Jushtam Asvargyam. He told Arjun, what you are telling me are words of a coward. In fact, if that wasn't enough, he told Arjuna, Klaipya. Klaipya Mahabhava. Don't be a eunuch. You know what a eunuch is? Like a person who is like a transgender person almost. Nothing wrong with it. Whatever transgender, in India many centuries there were transgender people, but it is like a man externally, but very feminine internally. That is like a eunuch. So Krishna, Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, you are like a eunuch. You are only a man externally, internally you are a feminine. He is telling, this is in Bhagavad Gita. Come on, stand up and fight. Prabhupada message, he always spoke purely, without any filtering. Once one interviewer was asking Prabhupada, but Swamiji, do you think everyone can accept your Krishna consciousness movement, these British people, French people, and Americans. I mean, it's so much odd. Your philosophy is so odd from what they do in their life. They have never, even most of them have no concept of what you are saying. Prabhupada said, yes. That's why I say this is not the movement for everyone, but those who want, they can accept. The interviewer pressed on. He said, but do you mean they can become Krishna conscious? Like fully Krishna conscious? So Prabhupada said, yes. What is the harm? These American boys and girls are doing it. So what is the harm? And then Prabhupada's disciple Rameshwar Prabhu was there nearby. So Rameshwar Prabhu intervened, and he thought that Prabhupada was being very strong with that interviewer. So he intervened and he said, what he's trying to say is that, people can become spiritually awakened. Everyone can become spiritually awakened. Prabhupada immediately said, no, that is not what I'm saying. I mean everyone can be Krishna conscious. Uncompromising. So, Prabhupada, uncompromising, comes to this point. 1954, Prabhupada is 60 years old. At this point, Radharani is really, against the fact that Abhay is almost devoting all his time for writing and translating and reading. He's studying Shastra. So Radharani, especially Abhay, is studying Bhagavatam a lot. So Radharani is not happy with that. There is not much money in the house. One day, Radharani, in those days, there are these biscuit and tea sellers who come to your house, and you can give them some old books or some old papers, and they buy those papers by weight, and they give you some money, or they give you biscuits in return, almost like a barter, but not exactly a barter system. So this person comes, some kind of a biscuit seller, and for tea biscuits, Radharani sold Prabhupada's translation of Bhagavatam. For tea biscuits. And Prabhupada did have a copy. These are the days when there are no computers. There are no photocopy machines. So she sold. Prabhupada came home and he was surprised. Where are my books? Where are my translations? Oh, I sold them off. You sold them off? Why? To whom? Oh, they are just with all the other newspaper and other garbage, I just give them away for these biscuits, these tea biscuits. Prabhupada spoke to her and said, who do you want? Tea or me? And Radharani said, after some thinking, tea. Prabhupada got the message. So Prabhupada left and he took shelter of his godbrothers. And Prabhupada got in a dream. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is coming in the dream. You can see Abhay is sleeping. This is one photograph in which the entire scene is portrayed. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is coming to his dream. He wakes up and Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells Abhay, please take sannyas. So you can see how he got in the dream. He was 63 years old. Prabhupada finally, from Keshavji Gaudiya Math, Prabhupada takes sannyas. After taking sannyas, 1959 September, 63 years old, Prabhupada goes and stays in Radha Krishna temple in Chippiwada in 1960. Chippiwada is near, what is it called? Chaura Bazaar, which is in Delhi. So in this Chippiwada was considered to be, why did Prabhupada stay there? He stayed there in Radha Krishna temple free of charge, but why there? Anyone? He stayed there because that particular area was the heart of paper supplies. And Prabhupada needed paper to print his books. What were the instructions given? 2 instructions. One, spread this mission in English to the whole world. Second, print books. So you can see, at 66, he's printing, and then he goes to Radha Damodar Mandir in July 62 when he's 66 years old. In Radha Damodar Mandir, he is writing. Of course, in Radha Damodar Mandir, when he is writing, he finished his first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. When Srila Prabhupada went to America, he went to America with first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is published in 3 volumes. I have that old original publication in my home. It is the 3-volume original publication of Prabhupada. And he published 200 copies of that. And he took those 200 copies with him to America. Bhagavatam and 40 rupees in his pocket, which he never actually used, which was about $7. So, this first volume, there was one Hit Sharan Sharma. He helped Prabhupada publish this first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada was very, very happy when the American embassy, this is in 62, American embassy accepted the order for 18 copies of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. They were one of the first customers of Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. Anyway, I feel like saying more things, but time is running. We will keep it short. We started about 25 minutes late, so I'll try and finish as quickly as I can. Of course, Prabhupada, he had moved back to, from Delhi, he had moved back to Vrindavan, Radha Damodar. How many of you have been to Radha Damodar? Yes. In Radha Damodar, from Prabhupada's room, he could see Vrindavan Chandra deities. Of course, he later on established Vrindavan Chandra where? In New Vrindavan. This is Mother Janva, she is from New Vrindavan. So she of course lives here, she's French. Now she lives here. She lived many, many years, since 1978.
Yes, 78, 9.
78, 79.
First Montreal temple, then 83 I moved to New Vrindavan.
Right. So, yes, Vrindavan Chandra. Vrindavan Chandra deities is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's deities that Prabhupada could see from his room in Radha Damodar. And he could see Samadhi of and Rupa and Sanatana, especially Rupa Goswami. So, Prabhupada was taking inspiration, but he was kicked out of that Radha Krishna temple in Chippiwada. So he was now living in Vrindavan, but he needed paper. And in those days, Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister in India. Paper was rationed. That means you can't just buy paper. The government has to authorize. Why? Because Indira Gandhi wanted to control who publishes what against her government. So paper for publishing was rationed and only government approved. And only small units they would approve. So Prabhupada would type on these papers, right? Prabhupada had a typewriter. Anyone knows what was the name of the typewriter? Company name of the typewriter? No? Remington? No.
Singer?
Sena? No. I'll give you a hint. How many of you know Mother Urmila? Yeah. Mother Urmila's father, she's Prabhupada's disciple. Her father, a very rich Jewish man. When he went to meet Prabhupada first time, Prabhupada spoke to him. And At that time, Prabhupada mentioned to him that we are spreading this movement which is like an infection. Anyone who comes close gets infected with Krishna's love. So this is the hint of the name of the typewriter that Prabhupada used. That causes infection. The whole world is afraid. Probably even now a little bit.
Virus?
No?
Is it Corona?
Okay, I will come to it. I will come to it. Next slide will reveal it. But Prabhupada, to buy paper for typing, he was going every day from Radha Damodar to Delhi. In those days, there used to be a train going from Vrindavan to Delhi. Any of you have seen those, the train, the tracks are still there. Actually, they removed it just last year. But the tracks from Vrindavan to Delhi, there was a rail. Prabhupada would go every day in the morning, go there, buy paper, stand in the queue, buy paper, come back. All night he would translate. Next day morning, he would go back. Just see the dedication to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master. And he would type on this typewriter. Ready? Oh, my screen is stuck. It really is. Ah, there you go. Yeah? He used to have that. Yeah. So this was the typewriter Prabhupada used. We still have it. I think it's in America, somebody's possession or somewhere, maybe in some temple. I don't know where it is, but I've heard it's there. At that time, Prabhupada had a thought. If the Lord keeps me physically fit, then in the fulfillment of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's will, I could complete this work. Prabhupada thought he could complete translation in 7 years' time of the entire Bhagavad. Single-handedly, typing, proofreading, publishing, selling, acquiring the paper. So, he's everything. He's the full, he's one man show doing everything. What dedication. Because after the books were published, he was the one who was trying to sell them for 8 annas. Yeah? So, that is 8 annas will be, in pounds, it will be half pence. Yeah? That is the cost of the book. And then you could become a subscriber, and every future book that comes out could be yours. And in fact, at that time, Japan was doing a inter-religious festival. So Prabhupada applied to the Japanese embassy to go to Japan, and Prabhupada thought, I could go and teach Sanskrit in Japan. And he even wrote a book, small book called Bhagavata Light. Not life. That is the light of Bhagavatam. The light of Bhagavatam. Light of Bhagavatam. Anyone has seen that book?
No.
Yeah, in that book there are paintings from the Japanese painters. Beautiful paintings. Yeah, like the Zen kind of paintings are there. Beautiful paintings. So Prabhupada thought he would go to Japan. But as we will see, he ended up going to America. This is when the first volume he gave to Lal Bahadur Shastri, who was also Prime Minister of India, in June 64. And Lal Bahadur Shastri, he was very happy to receive the Bhagavatam. In fact, after receiving the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada came back and he wrote a letter to Lal Bahadur Shastri. And Shastri was the only Prime Minister who actually replied to Prabhupada. And at that time, Prabhupada would sometimes, as he was having his meal, his prasadam, looking at Rupa Goswami's samadhi. Once he had not a dream, but he's awake, Prabhupada is awake. Rupa Goswami appeared in front of him. And what did Rupa Goswami say? Can somebody read this? Loudly, come on.
Maharaj, don't worry.
Yeah, slow, yeah, everyone will hear, yes. Jasudan, go on.
Maharaja, don't worry about anything. Go ahead and travel to the west and preach. Just preach the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the chanting of Hare Krishna. You will be successful. I will guarantee you, because I will be right there with you all the time.
Rup Goswami is telling Prabhupada, you preach, I'll be there with you all the time. Not ordinary. So he then knows one Mr. Choksi, Gujarati guy, who works for Scindia Steam Company. And he tells Mr. Choksi, can you please tell your madam, Sumati Morarji, the owner of the Scindia Steam Company, to please give me a ticket to America. I'm a beggar. So Choksi tells Sumati Morarji says, no, I don't. I only own cargo ships. These are not passenger ships. I cannot allow some passenger on these ships. My insurer will not allow me to claim the insurance if something goes wrong. Prabhupada says to Choksi, don't worry, I would like to speak to Sumati Morarji myself. He speaks to Sumati Morarji, he preaches her Srimad Bhagavatam. She is very impressed with him. And then, when the time is right, Prabhupada tells her, now that you know what my mission is, can you please give me a ticket to America? Sumati says, Swamiji, what will you do there? You are only going there to die. Nobody is going to listen to your message in America. So Prabhupada says, I am prepared to die, Prabhupada said. For following the instruction of his spiritual master, he is prepared to die. Prabhupada, then Sumati says, okay, I will give you a ticket. So Prabhupada goes back to Mayapur, to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Samadhi in 1965. He is 69 years old. And he prays to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then he goes to Advaita Acharya's place. Where is that? Shantipur. And he prays there. And then he comes back to Bombay. And in Bombay, on 13th of August 1965, 9 a.m., Friday, Prabhupada boards the Jaladuta. Jaladuta literally means the ocean messenger or water messenger. And he is a messenger from the spiritual world who came. And the commander was this Captain Arun Pandya. His wife was also on the ship. And Prabhupada's ticket said, a complimentary ticket with food. Yeah. So he got a free ticket on a cargo ship. And Prabhupada, as they were going through the Red Sea on 23rd August 65, Prabhupada experienced seasickness. Even now, if you are flying to India and when your aircraft goes over the Red Sea, the Black Sea it's called, there is a lot of turbulence there because it's surrounded by the mountains, and so there was a lot of turbulence, or rather seasickness, because Prabhupada could not take it and he had 2 heart attacks. When he had the heart attack, he saw, later on while he was passing through the Suez Canal, the Suez Canal is near Egypt, 1st of September 1965, he saw all the incarnations of Krishna along with Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. He saw that they were driving the boat. And they told him, don't worry anymore. From now on, till your destination in America, we will drive the boat. So Prabhupada was a little relieved. They had a temporary stop at the city of Port Said. Port Said is in Egypt. And Prabhupada actually went out. So the first non-Indian country that Prabhupada went to, where he set his foot, was actually Egypt. Port Said. And he went with the captain, Captain Pandya. He took him with him. And then they came back. And when they came back, after going through the Suez Canal, where do you go? You go into the Atlantic Ocean, which is considered to be the roughest of all oceans, the most dangerous. And this Captain Pandya, he had been there many, many times. Captain Pandya wrote in the diary, in his personal records, when you are driving the ship, you have to keep records. He said, after nautical miles, that means as deep as they went, there was not a single wave. So he wrote, never in my career have I seen such a calm Atlantic crossing. Because who was driving it? Krishna already appeared to Prabhupada's dream and said, I will be driving it. Not just Krishna, but all incarnations of Krishna. So Matsya Avatar drives the boat. You know that? Have you seen Matsya Avatar driving the boat? Of Satyavrata Muni? Yeah. So it's not a new thing. Krishna already has practice of doing it for one of his devotees. Right? So Prabhupada then finally reaches the Boston Pier at 5:30 a.m. September 17th, 1965, after 35 days of journey from Calcutta. Sorry, it was not from Bombay, it was from Calcutta. Jaladuta reached Boston, and when he set his foot in Boston, Prabhupada says, America was so strange to me that I did not even know whether I was meant to turn left or right. I knew nothing. And this is the first time Captain Pandya said, come Swamiji, I will show you Boston, the real American life. And Captain Pandya took Prabhupada to see Boston. And you know, there are strip show girls, Boston's best shop, wine shop, and there is some meat, best fish in town, all kinds of things, and you see all these intoxicated people lying on the street. And for Prabhupada, it was just here's a man living in Vrindavan, absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is where he comes. So strange is this place for him. So in Markine Bhagavad Dharma is a poetry Prabhupada wrote. Markine is not a Bengali word, it means in America. Markine is in America, Bhagavad Dharma means preaching God's message in America. It's a poetry in Bengali Prabhupada wrote. He writes, but I do not know why you have brought me here. I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Yeah. Anyway, we see then that Prabhupada goes back, he goes through immigration at Boston, and after immigration, he went back into the ship, Jaladuta, and then Jaladuta went from Boston to, because you know, this is a cargo ship, it's doing deliveries, right? So like your delivery agent, your postman will not give post only for one house, they'll go from one house to another house. So Prabhupada, his ticket was still New York. So they made stop in Suez Canal, in Port Said, then they made a stop in Boston where some cargo was offloaded. But he continued on until they reached New York. So on September 19th, Jaladuta sailed to New York Harbor, and at Brooklyn Pier on the 17th Street is where Prabhupada set his foot. I have been there. It's got a very nice feeling thinking that this is where Prabhupada first properly entered America. And then Prabhupada went around sightseeing also. He saw the Manhattan skyline. He saw the Empire State Building. He also went and saw the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. And later on, Prabhupada stayed with, there was a reference to one Mr. Agarwal, who was living in Butler, Pennsylvania. Prabhupada initially stayed with them as a house guest. And this boy, he had married an American girl called Sally. So Sally Agarwal, she was host for Prabhupada. And Sally had a small son, and Prabhupada would play with that son. I think his name was Govind or Damodar or something. So Prabhupada stayed there, but Prabhupada quickly realized that, he had to use the same fridge in which there was beef, there was pork, there was all kinds of things, chicken, and Prabhupada would had to use the same gas stove. So Prabhupada didn't stay there for long. He tried to make contacts, and there was one yoga guru, Mayavadi, Dr. Mishra, who was living in New York. He told Prabhupada, you come and stay with me, and you can preach with me. And when Prabhupada went there, he realized this person is a Mayavadi. Mayavadi means what? Impersonalist. Impersonalist means everyone is God. We are all God. So once some Mayavadis came to meet Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was arguing with them. How can we all be God? We have difference. How can we all be God? So the Mayavadis were giving their arguments back. In the end, Prabhupada said, actually in the last half an hour you have proved that we are not the same. We are not all God. How? Because you are arguing with me and we have a difference of opinion, so we are different. Like that Prabhupada told them, and they all paid obeisances and left. So this Mayavad philosophy is everything is one, we are all Bhagwan, we are all Paramatma, Atma and Paramatma is the same, everything is a khichdi, like in a khichdi, all vegetables can go in a khichdi, we are all, it's a khichdi philosophy. There is nothing, there is no essence to it. It's a bogus philosophy actually in one sense. The reason Shankaracharya preached it is to stop the killing of animals, which was being promoted by the Buddhists. Sorry, I said it the other way around. Buddhists came because they stopped the killing of animals, which was promoted by the Karma Kandis. Now to stop the Buddhist, Shankaracharya came. So this is the background. Anyway, this is Dr. Mishra. He was kind and he kept Prabhupada because Prabhupada, only once Dr. Mishra allowed Prabhupada to speak. And Prabhupada started speaking. What did he say? He said, my dear friends, imagine it's an audience like this. He said, my dear friends, everything that you heard from Dr. Mishra is false. Prabhupada he's hosted by Dr. Mishra. And then Prabhupada said, it is actually a grand confusion in the mind of Dr. Mishra. The reality is, we are all different and we are all servants of Krishna. From that day on, Dr. Mishra never allowed Prabhupada to speak. But he could not let Prabhupada go also. Why? Because,
Because he helped him save him.
He was cooking for him.
He was cooking for him, helped him save his life.
He had bad health problems. Prabhupada was cooking for him.
Yeah, that is one thing. But one thing that the audience would not let him go for was because Prabhupada used to sing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, beginning of the class, Dr. Mishra would say, Swamiji, you sing. Only because of his singing, everyone would come on time. And everyone would stay through the class only because they were waiting. At the end, Swamiji will sing. During the class, they were. Yeah, because everything is one. Whether you are awake or you are sleeping, it's one. No? No. So, somehow Dr. Mishra helped him. Then further, Dr. Mishra, from his place, Prabhupada did not stay there for long because there was difference of opinion. Prabhupada went to the loft. And in the loft, he had a lot of difficulties with people. Some drug addicts were there. And, the person who gave him place, he somehow stole the typewriter and sold it off for drugs. And all kinds of things. So Prabhupada moved to the Bowery, and in the Bowery there were two kinds of people. Some were completely drunk and crazy, some were semi-crazy who would fold their hands and bow down to Prabhupada. Some were catching his feet and not letting him move, all kinds of things. Prabhupada was so tolerant, he agreed to be there for some time. Finally, he met Allen Ginsberg, who was in the rock band arena. He was a musician. This is Allen Ginsberg. And because Prabhupada is Bengali, he used to call him Allen Ginsberg. So, I was just listening to the conversation last week between Allen Ginsberg and Prabhupada. Even I started calling him Ginsberg because Prabhupada keeps telling him, so Mr. Ginsberg, like that. Prabhupada, at that time, he got a small shop. The name of the shop was Matchless Gift. Prabhupada did not give that name. The name was Matchless Gift. So can you imagine everything from Jaladuta to Matchless Gift? He was a man who was now in America to give what? To give Matchless Gift. Then in 2nd Avenue, he slowly started talking on Srimad Bhagavatam. But then he switched to Bhagavad Gita. So he was giving Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. in the evening was Bhagavad Gita talk followed by Prasadam. Who would cook Prasadam?
Prabhupada himself.
Prabhupada. Who would go and buy the bhoga? Prabhupada. Who would pay for the bhoga? Prabhupada. How did he manage to do that? These hippies would come for a nice feast. Prabhupada would cook, he would offer, and he would serve to the hippies. And he would go around with a basket. In the baskets, the hippie would sometimes put some money. With that money, he would pay the rent and he would also buy bhoga and feed the hippies again. Selfless service. He was, Prabhupada later on said, I did not know how my next day would be financially. This is how Prabhupada, so much sacrifice. Then Allen Ginsberg, he along with Mukunda, Sam and Harvey Cohen, they all went to this mantra rock dance. They had in, my battery is low. Where is the, so they had this mantra rock dance. I think it's, but you'd have to find a plug.
I know.
Fine. Anyway, it's only 10 more minutes. And oh no, it's right here. I need to plug this in somewhere. So, somehow it was a big success, and there was a guy called Chet Helms. He was a rock entrepreneur. He said, if you guys can come together and do this rock dance, and if it's a hit, then all the money that comes from it will be given to Radha Krishna temple. So Prabhupada was very hopeful. And then later on, of course, my machine's frozen. Allen Ginsberg continued to attract the hippies. The hippies came, and then devotees started joining. They were, in fact, initial days, Prabhupada, all he was doing was not speaking much philosophy, he was just chanting Hare Krishna. And the hippies were jumping, yelling, crying, shouting. Some were even coming on the stage to hug Prabhupada. All kinds of crazies were there, right? And of course, as I told you in San Francisco, Prabhupada, so I told you how Malti had got that doll which Prabhupada paid obeisances to. And then in San Francisco, there was a Rath Yatra, first Rath Yatra. How it came about, Prabhupada was actually walking and he saw this truck. You understand the flatbed truck? What a flatbed truck is? There's nothing behind, it's just the front and then everything is flat. We have these in London also, right? In the UK. So you could put some cargo or whatever you want on top. So the flatbed truck, when Prabhupada saw that pass, Prabhupada asked his disciples, could we hire one of these trucks and maybe build a temporary canopy on top and put Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra? So that's how the first Rath was built. They hired a yellow Hertz rental flatbed truck and they put some 5-foot columns and pyramid cloth on top, and this was the, as you can see here, this was the Rath Yatra with all the 3 deities in 3 directions on the back of a truck in San Francisco. Anyway, the Rath Yatra was a huge success. And from this point on, there was success after success. And then Prabhupada established ISKCON on July 13th, 1966. He was 74 years old by then. And ISKCON was already in New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. September 8th, 1966, 26 2nd Avenue was opened, which was Matchless Gift Store. He gave first initiation actually on that day. 8th September 66 was the first batch of initiations. And then of course San Francisco Rath Yatra, the very famous one, the big one, where Prabhupada danced all the way through, right from the beginning to the end. And in 68, he opened farm community in New Vrindavan. In 69, he sent his disciples to London who met the Beatles. Prabhupada was 73, and of the Beatles, George Harrison. Do you know which one is George Harrison?
On top.
Top left corner, yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Far left there. Yeah. Sorry, what was that? Okay. And Prabhupada would chant Hare Krishna. In fact, he had his record, the Radha Krishna album that George Harrison published or produced, where a dozen devotees went to EMI, the recording studio, with Paul McCartney and his wife Linda operating the console. George Harrison was playing the organ. Mukunda Das Goswami was playing the mridanga. Yamuna was singing. Shyam Sundar was backing her in the singing, and the other voices were blending in the chords. And this, the first day, this record, which was the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, sold on day 1 70,000 copies. Within a few weeks, devotees started appearing on all popular TV shows, including ITV and BBC, and they were on top of the pops. And they were singing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And actually, so many thousands of devotees came through the Beatles. Thousands and thousands, globally. In fact, prominent devotees, like you all know Sachinandan Maharaj, he came through hearing George Harrison's song. So, you know, like, unbelievable the kind of devotees that we now have in the movement and what George Harrison did. And Prabhupada was very, appreciative of George. When George Harrison at one point said, I want to shave up, have a shikha, and I want to join your movement full time, Prabhupada said, you don't need to do that. You already Hari's son, Harrison. Yeah, so like that Prabhupada encouraged him. Of course, in 69, the movement started to expand with London, and Prabhupada in 71 went to see Dr. Kotovsky in Russia, in Moscow. And Prabhupada said there is no hope in Russia without Krishna consciousness. Because Kotovsky, Prabhupada discussed with him, he said, essentially Prabhupada was saying that you have so many departments in your university, Moscow University, but where is the department for the soul? Where is the department where they teach you about the soul? So Kotovsky said, well, after the body is dead, everything is finished. Prabhupada said, that is simply foolish. Can you imagine somebody is inviting you and you end up telling him he's simply a fool. Prabhupada didn't care. He wanted to give what was true. He did not, he spoke from his heart. And people could accept it. If we speak like this to someone, the other person will be offended and never speak to us again. But with Prabhupada, there was one Dr. Patel. And I will not name the sect because this is being recorded. There's one particular sect who people think are like devotees, but actually they are Mayavadis. So Prabhupada, when Dr. Patel spoke to, when Prabhupada spoke to Dr. Patel, Prabhupada said, this sect, they are simply Mayavadis. Dr. Patel said, no, Prabhupada, you should not speak like this. You know, they are doing so many things and they are also worshipping Krishna. Why are they Mayavadis? And then Prabhupada said, they are Mayavadis because they think their guru is God. Yeah, so they are Mayavadis. It's only a version of Mayavad. And this Dr. Patel said, no, I don't agree with you. You are wrong. Prabhupada said, no, I am right. You are wrong. Not only that, you are wrong, you are also a Mayavadi. because you are not listening to me. And Dr. Patel says, yes, then I am a Mayavadi. And then next day morning walk, he comes again. He says, Swamiji, yesterday we had some dispute, but I cannot not come in because you are such a nice, kind person. So Prabhupada could say things even directly to someone that you are a fool, you are a rascal, Prabhupada's favorite word. We can't say it because if we say it like that, people will be offended. He is a pure devotee. He speaks directly to the Paramatma in the heart of the other person. So the person is not disturbed. So Kotovsky also, he said, you don't have any knowledge. You are foolish. And then Prabhupada said, there is no hope. But Prabhupada went to Russia and he initiated one person, a boy called Ivan. And Ivan was chanting, cooking and following everything. Prabhupada personally taught him. So Prabhupada later on also established the Gurukul in Dallas, Texas in 72. He also established the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. His long-term dream was to publish books, and now he had his own book trust. The first Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada published in 68, 69 was through Macmillan Press. You know Macmillan, yeah? But now Prabhupada had his own BBT. In 73 was when George Harrison donated the Bhaktivedanta Manna. And then Prabhupada preached. He actually studied philosophy at university, Prabhupada. So he could preach all kinds of philosophies, he could defeat all kinds of philosophers. And then Prabhupada also he did not directly address the United Nations, but he did speak about the United Nations, saying they call themselves United Nations, but every year there's a new flag. They are so disunited. Yeah. In May 28, in Paris, in France, he met Cardinal Jean Danielou at a monastic retreat near Paris. And he preached to him how meat eating is not acceptable according to the Bible. Because the Bible says, thou shalt not kill, and yet you kill. And the cardinal kind of, agreed reluctantly. So modern society, Prabhupada would say, is a society of vultures. Because they feed off animals like vultures, and they feed off each other's, they feed off each other's weaknesses like vultures. Prabhupada also directly met Indira Gandhi in 1975 at 79 years old. Prabhupada in fact offered Indira Gandhi that you should be the Queen Mother and Sanjay Gandhi, your son, should be the Prince, and you should make this into a monarchy. India should become a monarchy again, and you should be the empress with your son as the prince, and that way you'll be able to control. There is no, because Prabhupada used to call democracy as demoncracy, only because, and I'm quoting Prabhupada's words, Prabhupada would say, one rascal chooses another rascal. What is the hope? Which is true. People with not very high intelligence, masses means what? You can sway the vote based on anything that you tell the masses, right? So Prabhupada's view was monarchy is better than this modern democracy. Anyway, I'm just giving you the gist, and we're almost at the end of this now. In 77, Los Angeles, he established the first American transcendental exhibition called Faith Museum. It's still there, I believe. And there were dioramas. Dioramas are like these statues through which Prabhupada wanted to convey the philosophy. And Prabhupada was always very pro-technology. He liked to use technology for promoting Krishna consciousness. In November 77, Prabhupada went back to Vrindavan, and every day there was below the tamal tree, Prabhupada would sit there and have darshan, and they were required darshans, which means nobody would go and speak to Prabhupada at that time when he was having darshans. Only devotees would dance, chant, and sit around. You've been to Radha Shyam Sundar Mandir? So you know this place. And then, having circled the globe 14 times in 12 years, Prabhupada finally left this world on November the 14th, 1977 at 7:30 p.m. It was the month of Kartik in the Dham in Vrindavan, in the most auspicious time, and surrounded by his devotees with no pain. In fact, the Kaviraj, the Ayurvedic doctor who was treating Prabhupada during his last days, he said, I have assisted many people with their death, but I have not seen anyone as free of pain as your spiritual master. In fact, just the day before Prabhupada left, Kaviraj told Prabhupada, you don't have much time. He told him in Hindi, you don't have much time left. Do you have any final desires? And Prabhupada replied in a very faint voice. There's actually a video recording of this. Prabhupada said in Hindi, Kuch ichha nahi hai. I have no desires left. Because the question was, do you have any desires? Anything unfulfilled? Because most of us live with all kinds of negativity, hurt, regret, pain. Prabhupada was above all that. And so he said he had nothing, no desires. And on this day, he disappeared from this world, fulfilling the prediction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur that there will be soon a great saint who will come and establish Lord Chaitanya's movement throughout the world. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So we went through the entire life of Srila Prabhupada. I've never done this before, so it was not too bad, I guess. Almost 10 minutes over time. But thank you very much for those who were attentive. Thank you for those who are not attentive. At least you attended physically. And maybe next time you'll be attentive. Let us please take this opportunity to be truly grateful for what Srila Prabhupada has done for each and every one of us. And over the next 2 days, we would learn from Prabhupada's wonderful qualities, his interactions, his behavior. And by learning from Prabhupada how he did things, we would try and imbibe those things in our lives. That's the aim for the next 2 days. So please, I suggest you come, be attentive, take notes, If you take notes, it will help you remain awake. If you can't remain awake, I want to tell you a little story before we part for the day. When Ravana, and this is in one of the South Indian versions of Ramayana, not in Valmiki Ramayana. When Ravana was, just before Ravana died, he sent his brother Kumbhakarna to fight. And Kumbhakarna, he only did two things. What did he do? Eating and sleeping. That's all he did, right? So he had two wives. One was known as Nidra Devi. Nidra Devi was the wife who would serve him while he was sleeping. Nidra means sleep. The other wife was a shadow of Annapurna Devi. Annapurna means to cook food. So he had only two wives. So when Kumbhakarna was about to die, he paid his obeisances to Ramchandra and said, "My dear Lord, now my wives have become widows. Soon my brother will also be killed. So I want to make sure that you look after them. They will serve you diligently." Ramchandra immediately thought, if I take service of sleep and food, I will always be sleeping and eating. So Ramchandra said, "Thank you, I will look after your wife, but there is an ancient saying, whoever is my devotee is also the devotee of my devotees. So I give these two to my devotees. So whenever my names, my glories, or the glories of my devotees will be chanted, immediately who will come to serve you? Sleep and food. Now the food must be ready. And you already slept enough. So, but on a scene, that was on a lighter note. But on a serious note, please get some notebook, something, or use your phone. The challenge with the phone is you have the phone and then that WhatsApp pops up. And that YouTube pops up. So that's why I don't like the phone. Get something right. Be focused. Even if you take 5 things from these 2 days, we are going to discuss 26 qualities. In each quality, there might be 2 or 3 or even 5 points. If you take total of, so we'll discuss about 125 points. Even if you take 5 of those points and apply to your life, as Prabhupada would said it, you will make your life sublime. Prabhupada would say, make your life sublime. Sublime means not of this world. Even Lord Jesus Christ said, be in the world, but not of the world. And that is what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So, with this, let us pay our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Vishnu Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Charine, Nirvishesha Shanyavadi, Paschakti Deskarane. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Samveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. His Grace Kartik Chandra Prabhu ki Jai. Can we please have 3 loud Hari Bols for Kartik Prabhu? Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Kartik Prabhu, as you can see, I'm sure a lot of you already know him. And I know his glories travel far and wide now, beyond the British Isles, and I think in France as well, they're getting to know him as well and beyond. He really is a fount of wisdom. He has been so deeply steeped in Vaishnava culture his whole life, and obviously really becoming a pillar of our yatra at the manor, and just helping to develop the ISKCON mission. He's also part of the GBC Shastrik Advisory Council, which is quite evident when you look at the amount of wisdom and knowledge and also practical application that Prabhu is giving and will be giving, especially over the next few days, where Prabhu is going to be amalgamating practical workshops along with the lectures and seminars. So we've got lots more to look forward to from Kartik Chandra Prabhu. So just a quick update, because obviously the session went a bit over time, dinner will be served at 7 p.m. and then afterwards, we cannot have a retreat complete without some kirtan. So humbly requesting all of you to then come back here at 8 p.m. Actually outside the castle, right?
Yeah. Have the kirtan in the outside area.
Yeah. And then we'll have some kirtan because that is the essence, the holy names, right? That's we're learning all this so we can go deeper and get more taste for the holy names. That's why Prabhupada gave us what he did. And so yeah, partake of some wonderful chanting with the holy names. And then obviously get some good rest today as well. Tomorrow, fresh new day, lots of wonderful activities to go through.
I would also have one more request. If everyone can try to come on time, then we can finish on time. Try to finish on time. And that way there won't be a delay. So I just apologize for the delay, but I thought I wanted to cover the entire life of Prabhupada and not pause. Actually, the last few screens we went through really quick, but hopefully it has been, it has helped you understand the glories of Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you. Yeah. Two Vaishnav qualities that Prabhupada really emphasized amongst his servers, especially those in Pujari service, is cleanliness